Ms. Morrow, you say you've been living a lie for 30 years. You stand before the court today ready to finally find out whether your biological father is the man you grew up believing to be your dad, or if his brother, the defendant, Mr. Curry, is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Curry, you admit to sleeping with the plaintiff's mother one time after a wild night of partying.
Yes,
but
Your
you
Honor.
say you don't believe you're her biological father because there were other possibilities as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Ms. Morrow, how did you come to the conclusion that your uncle might actually be your biological father?
Well, recently, the man that I thought was my biological father did a DNA test himself after 30 years, and it came back that he wasn't my father. So basically, for 30 years, I lived this lie thinking that he was my father, which I never met him until I was about 7 years old at a court hearing for child support or something. My mother brought me with her. I briefly stepped off the elevator. She said, "Amanda, this is your father." He said, "Hi, how are you?" That was it. I never heard from him again until I was 15. Randomly, a letter came in the mail from him saying that, "I'm your father, I want to be in your life, I'm sorry I wasn't there, I want to fill that make up for not being there." And it all just started from there. And it was very hard for me to let him in, so I was very hesitant about having him in my life. After a year of just talking on the phone, my mom went to Connecticut for me to meet him. My grandfather was dying, so I met him around that time that my grandfather was dying. We had lunch, spent the afternoon together, and that was it.
And how old were you then?
I was 16. It was a year
So
after
pretty
the
much
initial.
your entire life you had no real relationship with the man you believed to be your biological father.
My mother said that when she was pregnant, he walked away, that he didn't want anything to do with me. So I never had a father on my birth certificate, never had a father in my life, but I always knew.
But
You see, my
you
brother always...
understood him to be your father. That's the person you thought.
My brother always believed that he was her father, until just recently, when he got this DNA test done. That's when I found out that apparently he wasn't either. But there's a question as to the validity of the test that he took, because he left the sample sitting around for a while.
Tell me what happened there. So your brother took a DNA test.
Correct. And before sending it in, he did, I guess, apparently didn't have the money to send it in to get the results, so he left it sitting around for a month or two.
And this was an at-home test.
Mm-hmm. He purchased the
And
test.
he left his sample sitting where for a month?
He sat in his car for a couple weeks, and then when...
Conflicting story there. He told me he left it on his refrigerator.
And he told me he left it in the car for 2 weeks, and then when he mailed it, it got mailed back to him because there wasn't enough postage on it. And then he mailed me my part of the kit, so that's when this all started. When he mailed me the part for me, he mailed me two samples. One for my mother, one for me. So I called my mother. I said, "Mom, you know, we were supposed to be going down to visit her in a week or so." And I said, "Listen, Dave bought a DNA test because he always had questionable doubts. You know, he said he's my father, but he just wanted proof. Well, I have a DNA kit here. I'm sending in my sample." And I said, "If there's any doubt that he's not my father, I need to know now before I come to Florida, find out the results, and things will hit the fan when I find out that you lied to me." And then that's when she came out and said, "Amanda, I never wanted you to know the truth. When I was young, I was gang raped by 3 men, and you're a victim of that rape, and Dave is not your father." I didn't believe that story.
So I wouldn't believe it either, because
He was one of
I
them.
was the first one to sleep with her. I slept with her one time.
You
Then I
slept with Ms. Morrow's mother.
Correct. Then I introduced her at a party to my brother, which she started sleeping with him.
Like, why not say, "I don't know who your father is"? Why say, "This David Curry is my father"? From the time 15, you let me meet him, go to his mother's funeral, meet his family, spend Thanksgiving with his family. She would never have told me the truth until this David finally decided he wanted to do a DNA test. So she told me on the phone, and I kind of was like, you know, it hit me. I was upset. I mailed it in overnight. I told David I mailed it in. He still didn't pay for the payment.
So you were holding out hope that this man really was your father because all these years you believed him to be, and you'd established a relationship somewhat with his family?
I'm close with their niece, his niece, David's niece, their other brother's daughter.
Yes,
I'm
I
close.
didn't meet Amanda until she was 15.
16.
16 at Thanksgiving at my house.
It's not that I
one
wanted
year.
him to be my father, but I wanted to know who my father was. June 6th, I got the email. DNA results were in. I click on the link, and it says that he's not my father.
So then at some point, you are told that the man you thought was your father he didn't send in the sample in a timely manner.
No.
Correct. That's why I
When
believe
did
the
you?
test could
When
have
were
been
you
messed up.
told that?
I mean, I kind of knew that because he kept saying, "Oh, well, I'm getting it there, I'm getting it there," but I just still had that hope, just that it was correct. So after that happened, finding out that he was my father, for that 24 hours, it was just, I was a wreck. I was very emotional, upsetting. Like, I'm like, wow, I have a child that I can never say, well, you have a grandfather. My husband lost his father when he was very young, so my son has a grandfather. And it's not that, it's just, I need to know these things for the sake of my son, health-wise, and where we come from and everything. So for 24 hours, I sat there emotionally crying, like devastated that I will never know who my father is.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
Hey, his niece, who I'm close with, said, hey, Uncle Ken knows some things. And that's when Ken reached out to me and told me that he slept with my mother, another man slept with my mother, another man slept with my mother.
And another man.
And another man.
Yeah. All in the same time frame.
He told me the name of the other man that David and he both thought was my father all these years.
So all of these men,
Correct.
on top of that, you do a DNA test with the man you believe to be your father, and there's an issue with the sample.
Correct.
So it's just confusion all around.
Correct.
So look, we use DNA Diagnostics, a laboratory, to perform all of the DNA testing for Paternity Court. And we wanted to ask Dr. Baer, our lead scientist there, if the sample would have been tainted. This is what he said.
The sample you referred to is clearly not an ideal sample. Generally, if a DNA sample is compromised, you will see that in the results, in the egrams, to show that it's not appropriate for testing. I recommend that this sample be recollected to ensure reliable results.
So, as you can see,
Very
that
good.
sample was likely compromised because it was not sent in a timely manner.
Right.
So we did have the man you believe to be your father tested again under the right conditions, and we'll have that result later, okay? So let's now understand how you came to realize or came to know that your uncle could be your father. Who told you that?
When he told
I
his
did.
niece, his niece told me, listen, you need to talk to Uncle Ken. And he told me that. But what I want to know is why nobody told me this when you met me the first time, that you slept with my mother. You know, you also
Well,
knew.
it's not something you tell a 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, confront my mother is what you know, well, when I was 16.
See, the issue with me is only the one time, and then introducing her mother a couple of weeks, you know, after that, meeting my brother, meeting these other guys, I just didn't think the time frame could fit for me. But then my wife put a picture of my daughter next to a picture of Amanda, and first thing my wife said was, well, I don't know, you know, very well could be.
The other issue is the other man that my mother was dating at the same time that she was dating his brother. I guess when I was 16, when we came up to visit, David came to visit me as well at my grandparents' house, and his friend drove him. This friend is who is the other man that could potentially be my father. And he always knew about me. When I found out his name from Ken, I actually looked up online and contacted him.
And what did he say?
Oh yeah, I've always known about you. I always thought you could be my daughter. He's like, we've met. I met you when David came to see you. Think back, when you were 16. Remember a man bringing David to come visit you? I was that man. He's like, when I looked at you, I thought you could be mine.
Yeah, but
Oh my goodness.
No, he figured if my brother would sign the paternity papers and he wanted to cop to it, well, let him. So what kind of man is that?
When you met her, you thought this was your niece, but she could be your daughter.
No. When I first met Amanda, I thought she looked a lot like this other guy that we're talking about.
So when you met her for the first time, were you thinking in your mind this could be my daughter, or you immediately said this could be one of the other guys?
It never crossed my mind until just recently, when my brother said that he had taken this DNA test and it came back that he wasn't the father.
Okay.
Then I said to myself, well, there's a slim chance, you know.
This is piecing together as you go along. It's piecing together for you as well. And your wife pulls out the picture and shows it to you, and you start saying, Oh my goodness.
Very well could be my daughter.
If my brother's not her father and she looks like everyone in my family and she has similar health issues,
There's only
then
one
maybe
conclusion to come to.
I am.
I also look a dead ringer for my mother, so it's hard for me to compare myself to anybody. But when I looked up this other man who didn't want anything to do with any of this, I pulled up his picture online, and I think I look like him. But it's my baby pictures, I look like him. But he wants, when I called him, he said, yeah, I know, but I don't want my family knowing anything. I don't want any part in this. He's like, what do you want from me? I said, I don't want to, I'm not looking for a daddy. I'm not looking for a grandfather for my son. I'm looking for where I come from, my closure. My mother, I read a message David sent to me that my mother sent to David stating, I hope you do the DNA test so I can spit in your face for doubting that she's your daughter. And then I also read that he signed a paternity agreement when I was just about 18 months old, which I have a copy of.
Let me see that, Jerome.
I went to the courthouse to find this myself, and I never knew about it. And he signed stating that he's my father, but he's not on my birth certificate because he didn't do the DNA sample.
This is, in fact, an acknowledgement of paternity signed June 27, 1985. Mm-hmm. So he signed and acknowledged he's your father.
But did not take the DNA test.
Yeah, me
but
too.
the fact that he signed that and not on my birth certificate is because he didn't do the DNA test. So my whole life has been embarrassed that I don't have a father on my birth certificate. That I never had a
Listen, do not be embarrassed. This is nothing for you to be embarrassed about at all.
What's hard for me too is just my wedding, I didn't have a man to give me away. My birth of my son, I didn't have parents there. I didn't speak to my mom throughout my pregnancy because it was just too much for me. And you know, it's sad because she didn't come to my wedding. She didn't come to the birth. She did come after because my husband contacted her and said, look, let's start over. You know?
So what are you hoping for today? What are you hoping these results?
Just to know, I need closure, know where I came from, who's my father. I'm not looking for somebody to be my dad. I'm 30 years old, I've lived my life, you know, I've grown this long without a father, I'm okay. I just want to know where I came from, health reasons, heritage, so I can tell my son one day what nationality he is, you know, or what health risks are on his side of the family.
That's why she needs to find out who her real father is.
Yes. Mr. Curry, what are you hoping for today?
I'm hoping if it turns out that I am her father, that we can have a good relationship. I mean, we already do. But it would also be bittersweet at the same time that not knowing that or not even thinking it for 30 years. So
we live 15 minutes apart, and I've never got together with a family except for when I was 16. He's one town over, and the only one I get together with is his niece. I mean, even when I've gone to his niece's baby shower, the family just always, oh, you're David's daughter. Oh, you're David's daughter. He wasn't there. But, I mean, it's just a shame that, like, if, okay, I'm family, why haven't they acknowledged me when I live 15 minutes from them, except for his niece? That's it. I don't know where it's going to go from here.
Well, I'll tell you what. In order to move forward, we need the results. And so, Jerome, I think we are ready to find out the truth. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Morrow v. Curry, as it pertains to the paternity of Ms. Amanda Morrow, it has been determined that Mr. David Curry is not your father. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. So now it has been confirmed that, in fact, David Curry is not your biological father. Are you ready for the next result? If you need to sit down, ma'am, please feel free.
I'm okay.
You okay?
Thank you.
In the case of Morrow v. Curry, as it pertains to 30-year-old Amanda Morrow, Amanda, Mr. Kenneth Curry is not your father.
Sorry, sweetheart.
I just don't understand how someone could do this to their child. How do you lie to your child? Now I'll never know. How do I tell my son this growing up that I don't know who my father is? I just want closure. I want this to end. I just want to know. I want to sleep at night and not have nightmares or...
But the one other guy, Amanda, who I wasn't able to locate, I will most certainly continue looking for him.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curry. Thank you for that. Ms. Morrow, do not ever give up. I know this was not the news you wanted today.
I just want to know the truth.
If you ever need this courtroom, again, we're here to help you. If there's someone else you'd like to have tested or that agrees to have tested, and we'll provide resources for you to help you process and get through this, okay? Mr. Johnson, you admit you engaged in a sexual relationship with the defendant while you were traveling for work, but deny her claims that you fathered her 2-year-old daughter, Amir, because you say Ms. Walters is a shady manipulator. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Walters, you say you are fed up with Mr. Johnson's paternity denial and want him to step up to the plate when you prove to him that Amir is his daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Johnson, why did you question Ms. Walters' character from the moment you met her?
Because things were shady from the first day when I met her. I mean, I met her back in 2015, November, and I was just out of town, just looking to have some fun. And probably three days later, we met, and we ended up sleeping together. So
how did you meet?
we met over a dating app. Yes, ma'am.
So you were on a dating app.
Yes, ma'am.
So you took her out to dinner. What happened?
I ain't take her out to dinner. One day I told her I was going on lunch, and we ended up going back to the room, and her wedding ring fell out of her pocket. Yeah.
Wait, what?
I was taking her jeans off, and her wedding ring fell out of her pocket.
He lying. That's not.
Nah.
So wait a minute. You meet on a dating site, you talk, you all decide to meet up at lunch. You meet up at lunch, you all decide to have sex while you taking her jeans off.
Yes, ma'am. And I left it on.
Ms.
On the
Walters,
nightstand.
you had your wedding ring in your pocket?
The particular day that he's talking about, my wedding ring did not fall out my pocket. The day that my wedding ring came about, it was me and two of my friends, well, one of my friends, I brung over for his friend. And I had my wedding ring in my pocket, and I pulled it out and put it back on. And he was like, "What is that?"
Exactly.
So you met on a dating site, but you didn't have any idea she was married?
No. It still says she's single on the dating site. On the same dating site. And she was on there 7 days ago.
You got all the receipts, huh?
I got all of it. All of it. Every screenshot.
Was Mr. Johnson the only man you were dating at this time?
Nope. Because every time I was in the car with her, she was telling me to hush up while she was on the phone with another dude.
Wait a minute. I want to hear more about this. What happened?
What happened? I just sat there. I was chilling.
Phone rings. You're in the car.
The phone rings. I'm cool. I'm chilling. Because the whole time I'm married too. See, that's what she didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And I had a whole girlfriend.
And a whole girlfriend?
Oh, I'm married and got a girlfriend.
Oh. Where they do that?
In Memphis.
Lots of places.
Yeah, yes.
That's why they end up in paternity court. So anyway, so she gets a phone call in the car. What do you hear her saying?
She talking to folks, you know what I'm saying? She getting money from folks and stuff. That's why, you know what I'm saying, when she hit me up talking about sending money for the child and stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not finna send you no money, and I know what I already know what's up. I already know what's up with you.
What do you know?
I know what's up.
So you're
She getting money. She getting money from another dude and spending and messing with me with it. So why would I give you
so
some
when you're
money?
sitting in the car and the phone rings, you just sit quietly.
Yes. Yep. Sit
But at
quietly.
the time, Your Honor.
Wait, so you sit quietly or she tells you to be quiet?
She be like, shh. I'd be like, okay.
That's how she...
The only time I ever told him to be quiet, Your Honor, the incident that he's talking about, I got money from someone. He was calling to see where I wanted to meet. I couldn't meet him when he wanted to meet because at
Where
the
the
time
heck
I was
money
with
go?
Mr. Johnson.
To me.
All right, so
You in
Mr.
court.
Johnson, tell me how you found out Ms. Walters was pregnant.
She called me or whatever, and she said she was pregnant. I told her congratulations, and she was like, she was like, I'm telling you, cause it might be yours. I'm like, what? Cause I bought a box of condoms as soon as I got to the city. You know what I'm saying?
So you're
But that
saying
don't mean
it was
we used
protected
them.
sex for you because you had already decided you
yeah,
were
'cause
going.
I had a whole girlfriend and a wife. Why would I not use protection? You know what I'm saying? I'm sleeping with my girlfriend unprotected. Why would I be sleeping with you? You know? Why would I be sleeping with you?
Why would you be sleeping with her if you got a girlfriend and a wife?
Oh, yeah. Cause that relationship was about over with.
All right, so you
Right
knew
over.
you had condoms. You had come prepared to have protected sex. And it is your recollection and your testimony today, you had protected sex with Ms. Walters.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when she calls you to say, I'm pregnant, your response is, congratulations. And then, Ms. Walters, do you say to him, okay, but this could be your child?
Yes, Your Honor. I called Mr. Johnson after I spoke with my ex, and I let both of them know, like, hey, I messed with both of y'all around the same time. I'm pregnant. I'm not telling you that you're my child father, but I'm telling you that it's a possibility.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
I never lied to Mr. Johnson. I was 100% honest with Mr. Johnson about the whole situation. I never told him, like, hey, I'm 100% sure this is your kid or anything of that nature. I just told him to be honest because I didn't want to go 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years down the line and then be like, oh, yeah, well, here you go, Mr. Johnson. You got a kid by me here in Arkansas that I never told you about.
So you decided to be honest.
Yes, ma'am.
But he said it's not my child.
No, he said, congratulations. And then I said, congratulations, like as if asking a question.
Oh.
And he said that, are you for sure, you know, that it was just me and him? And I told him yes. And then
No.
he said we would go from there.
And that was that.
Yes, Your
From
Honor.
that point on, what happens during the pregnancy? Does he go with you to any doctor's appointments? Was he at the birth?
No, he stays in another state than I stay, but he did contact me a few times, Your Honor, in regards to my pregnancy. When I informed him that I was giving birth, he asked me to send pictures after I gave birth, and that was that.
Mr. Johnson gets the pictures.
Yes, Your Honor.
What do you think when you get the pictures? Are you getting the pictures to see, does this baby look like me?
I thought about it. I mean, yeah, I thought about it. Yeah,
Oh,
I
she's
thought
a
about it,
beautiful
of
little
course.
girl. So when you saw her pictures, what did you think?
Like I said, I thought about it. I stared even hard, but same time, she like a whole nother dude that she was messing with probably like the same time.
Your Honor, he's
Around the
lying.
same time.
He's lying.
Yep.
Initially, when my daughter was born, she didn't look like nobody. She was born early, for one, and well, she wasn't born technically early, but she was only 3 pounds and 8 ounces when she was born, so she was really small. So she didn't look like nobody. She looked really swollen and really wrinkly. So, I mean, I can't say that she looked like me. She didn't look like him. She didn't look like nobody. She
Y'all ain't
looked
got
like
that picture of the other dude that I'm talking about? It's the other
What
dude.
other dude?
The whole dude you, man, 3 years ago.
Okay, 3 years ago. Okay,
Dang,
my
y'all ain't got
daughter's
that
only
picture?
2. So what does a picture of a guy from 3 years ago have
Who
to do
is
with
this
anything?
other guy he's talking about? Who is this other guy he's talking about?
Well, I was dating
Some dude
this
she ain't
guy.
messing with no more.
I was dating this guy in the summer of 2014.
Probably dude
And
called
Mr. Johnson went digging in old Facebook photos and screenshotting
Sure
old
did.
pictures of old guys. At the end of the day,
Okay, Ms. Walters.
Oh.
yes, Your
Let
Honor.
me ask you this.
No.
Why are you so convinced Mr. Johnson is the father if there was another guy?
Because I had a DNA test with that other guy, Your Honor, and it came back that he was excluded.
One other dude.
Oh,
Came back that he was excluded.
One dude.
did you bring evidence
One.
of that?
Yes, sir.
Let
I
me see
did.
that, please.
One.
I could see when I went
Thank
to the
you, Jerome.
doctor. When I went
Ms.
to
Walters, so this is evidence of
After the day you
DNA
test
test.
a
somebody else.
DNA test you had with the
Okay.
other guy,
Yes,
where the
Your Honor.
probability of paternity was determined to be 0.00%.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor. And around the time when I found out I was pregnant December 27th. When I went to my follow-up appointment, they put my date of conception as around between December 2nd and December 5th. I was only seeing Mr. Johnson at that time, every single day.
No.
Did we not?
Every single day? No.
I went back and looked at the dates. And on December 5th, we were at my house drinking tequila and partying.
And so you remember the dates specifically.
I remember
and
the
you
dates
know that's the
specifically.
window of time Mr. Johnson was in town on business.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Mr. Johnson, it's your testimony that you did spend time with her that week. Did you use protection the entire time?
Yeah.
That's gonna
No,
be a
you
no.
didn't. No, you didn't.
That means no.
No, he did not. We only used protection like the first 3 times we had sex. After that, condoms went out
First
the
3
window.
times.
Yeah, the first 3 times. When you start spending the night at my house, we were not using condoms. We used condoms like once. But all the other times we did not.
I might have took one off, but no.
If you took one off, then it's a probability
That was
of a
after the
baby.
fact.
Well, first of all, Mr. Johnson, birth control is not 100%.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's one thing. The other thing is you got a wife, a whole girlfriend in your own words, and now a fling. And you run around here taking condoms off. That don't make any sense.
But he called me a manipulator, and I'm shady. Come on now.
Now I want to hear about Amir, this beautiful little girl. Have you developed a relationship with her at all? Have you, I mean, she's 2, so have you started to get to know her? Have you said to yourself, well, if she's my child, I at least want to know her. I want to have a relationship with her. What's happening?
I mean, yes, Your Honor. I reached out, like I said, whatever. I mean, like she said, we live in 2 different states. So I reached out and talked
But that was
to her.
after I made a long Facebook status about him not reaching out to her. If he
You
felt
cut
like
that
that
out.
my daughter was not his, why do you feel the need to reach out? Why do you feel the need to text me and say, oh, how's the princess? Or how y'all doing video chatting and all that if you know that this is not your kid?
So you feel like he's accepted Amir, but he's just not
has
stepping
never,
up.
Your Honor, he has never one time said Amir is not my child to me. He has never ever said that to
I
me.
haven't?
You have never said that to me.
Why we here then?
Wait a minute. Ms. Walters, I want to know, what have you told Amir about her dad? What do you say?
I have not told her nothing, Your Honor. I have a boyfriend that I've been with quite some time, and that's who she calls her dad.
But he could not biologically be her father.
No,
He probably is.
no. I had my baby in 2000.
So what are your hopes, Ms. Walters? What are you hoping
Dude
for
probably
today?
wouldn't have passed.
That we can just get the results today and get this over with, and hopefully Mr. Johnson step up and start trying to establish a relationship with my daughter. Because even though she has a male role model in her life, she has other siblings that she needs to know.
Mr. Johnson, are you prepared to step up if it is determined that Amir is your biological child?
Of course, I got a son. I ain't got no daughter. Of course. Of course.
And have you prepared yourself? You thought about it. You said, this is my child, I'm gonna do what's right.
Yes, Your Honor.
And why does that seem to make you emotional? What do you feel when you look at the baby?
You know, I want a daughter, but I don't want it like that. I don't want it like that.
You mean like that you've missed out on 2 years of her life and that it happens under an umbrella of a paternity saga that you wanted to be
I don't
there?
want it out of just me just hanging out, kicking it with somebody. I didn't want it like that, but if that's how it goes like that.
And when you look at her, you feel like you've missed a lot of time?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I don't want to make you all wait a moment longer. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Johnson versus Walters, when it comes to 2-year-old Amir Walters, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Johnson, you are not the father. Ms. Walters, Mr. Johnson is not Amir's biological father, so clearly there is a third guy.
The dude that looks just like her.
What
Just
dude?
be straight
Do
up.
you know who Amir's biological father is?
Yup.
Well, after
That
Mr.
dude shouldn't mess
Johnson
with
left,
no
I
more.
did establish another relationship with someone else. So,
And so why didn't you ever testify about that in court today?
because I don't ever recall us ever having sex without a condom or anything like that.
Do you know where this man is?
Yeah.
Yo, bae.
Are you still in touch with
one
him?
you said.
Hold on, Mr. Johnson. You got very serious the moment before I read those results when you thought that baby might be yours.
I mean,
Don't
fellas,
clown
hey, look
now.
at her.
Hold
No,
on.
look at her. Look
Hold
at
on.
her.
Don't clown now
Look at
that
her.
she's not. Because at the end of the day, this proceeding is about her and for her because we want her to know. If you need this courtroom to help you figure that out, we're here.